Welcome to week 4 of Project Governance and Ethics. So far in this unit, we've looked at governance definitions, project management activities related to governance, code of best practice, and the relationship of project management maturity within an organisation to governance. This week, we'll explore the application of corporate governance and corporate governance responsibilities and accountability. I would also like to be thinking about a project governance framework. We have already established that there are direct links between the laws relating to governance requirements for corporations and, in fact, any organisation, which is required to be accountable for stakeholders of any type. There are also governance requirements and a code of practice to be observed by corporations, and then this itself is linked with the governance requirements of projects being undertaken within the organisation. Looking at the application of governance within organisations, I have previously mentioned the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. There are the OECD Principles of Corporate Governance. This is mentioned in this week's notes. This is a key document in setting out governance principles which are now used as the overall basis for governance charters being developed by organisation. The OECD Principles of Corporate Governance contain 6 major principles which are listed in the notes. And these are going to define the basis of effective corporate governance frameworks, the rights, equitable treatment and role of shareholders or any other stakeholders, transparent operations of the corporation and responsibilities of the Board of Management. These are the major principles, and I strongly suggest that you go to the website to see the full report, which contains all of the sub-principles for each of these main principles. If you look at the intent behind these key principles, they are all about 3 key things. They're all, firstly, about accountability and compliance with the law, with the ultimate accountability lying with the Board of Directors. Secondly, they're about stakeholder management and the rights of stakeholders in compliance with the law. And thirdly, they're about audits of the corporation of both the financial and the commercial performance. These same key principles then translate to the project governance framework used by the corporation, and that includes a single point of accountability for the project, and that cannot be delegated. That project governance has a focus on service delivery, and effective stakeholder management, communication and reporting are all essential for the success of a project. Ross Garland, in his paper on developing a project governance framework, states, and I quote, "The UK government lists decision-making failures as one of the top 5 causes of project failure. The Victorian Treasury in Australia lists the lack of project governance and stakeholder management as the 2nd and 3rd most common cause of project failure." End of quote. Therefore, a strong governance framework is essential for all projects, regardless of the size of the project or the industry sector in which you are working. Have another look at the Sydney Port's website, which I mentioned last week, in particular their Major Projects Committee Charter. This gives a good example of applying governance principles to projects within the corporate structure. If you remember nothing else from the last few weeks, the main message about governance throughout organisations and projects is that it formalises the accountability for actions and activities. It formalises stakeholder or shareholder management, the auditing of performance, both financial and commercial reports on these outcomes using the same base data for reporting at all levels of the organisation. The discussion forum this week, there are a couple of activities which are two iconic projects in South Australia. They are dated in the mid-1990s, but the issues they represent were happening long before that date and unfortunately are still happening today. Have a look at them and discuss your thoughts with everyone else in the class on these activities. Thanks for watching, and once again I'll be back next week.